Roger. This is the Family Showdown!
Howdy folks, today we're looking at our top 10 board game mechanisms. By mechanism, I mean it's something that you do in a game. It's kind of like a rule or an action that you take or how the game plays. And for our list, we're using the Board Game Geek list of mechanisms. And some of these can be confused with board game types, but we're going with that list and that's how we're going to make our top 10.
Yes.
You want to start us off?
Sure. Now I have just a really brief description of what the mechanism is, and then I put a small list of the games that are good examples with the mechanism. So.
Well, I didn't do that, but I can wing it.
All right. Yeah, you're better at that than me anyway. So, my number 10 is Press Your Luck. Now this mechanism is pretty self-explanatory. Usually you have to make a choice whether to continue doing something risky or to back off and play it safe. And usually there are higher stakes involved with those types of games, whether you win or lose. And some good examples of pressing your luck would be King of Tokyo, Zombie Dice, Ink and Gold, Formula D, or the Adventurer's Temple of Chalk, something along those lines.
Yeah, so. I really enjoy those games. In fact, more on that later. My number 10 is Variable Player Powers.
Woohoo!
By this means that the character I control or whatever I control is got some slight differences from the other players. So each player either gets a character card or a special power or something that makes them different from everyone else. Everyone's not playing exactly the same game. So some examples of this: Blood Rage uses a variable player powers. Like a game like Descent, where you actually play characters, have variable player powers.
Yeah, a lot of
like
the dungeon crawls in particular use that, so that's a really good example.
Yep.
Good one. As he says, more on that later. My number 9 is Roleplaying, and I like that. This is where it's a little bit different from what he was saying with the variable player powers. This is you're taking on a character, and you're playing a character in full. So it's not just a special power that you have something that you're doing, you actually are that person.
Right.
So if you play a lot of the trader games like Betrayal, A House on the Hill, or Spyfall, Battlestar Galactica, any of the werewolf games, or Sheriff of Nottingham, you're taking on a role and playing it through. And those are great. Those are the games that are the best with the groups that like to ham it up. So those are the games that I like because, and now granted it's kind of risky depending on your gaming group, but well worth it if you've got people that like to really throw themselves into the game.
Yeah, that one's where a lot of games hit and miss, right? Because by nature, a lot of gamers are introverts, and forcing them to come out of their shell and act or pretend to be something they're not, or things like that, can be difficult. But then again, it's a good gateway to bring them out of their shell, right?
Yeah.
To get them to act, because it gets them to be someone they're not, right? They can pretend to be someone else, which can be a lot of fun.
Well, one thing that I enjoy too is I'm surprised at how well those games always go over at conventions and things because total strangers are playing them, but under the construct of the game, most people feel comfortable within these rule sets to kind of take that leap and go do something they normally wouldn't do. So there's a lot of great opportunities with role-playing games. I really like them.
Right. And more on that later. And I'm starting to sense that we're going to have a lot of crossover.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's good.
That's fine. It's more discussions about everything, right? So,
Number 9.
My number 9, which you just talked about a moment ago, is Press Your Luck. This would probably be higher up on my list. I love Press Your Luck games, but I don't know when to stop. I invariably go and crash. Go, crash. Every once in a while, I go, and win big. And that's what it's all about. So I lose 90% of the time, but that 10% I destroy. But Press Your Luck. I love Press Your Luck games.
Yeah, I do believe my win record's a lot higher than you.
Yes, I just don't. I always think, I can go and then I'll be the only one getting things because everyone else dropped out. It's just the call of doing that. That's why I love the games. It's just that risk, taking that risk.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Awesome. My number 8 has already been mentioned, obviously, and that is variable player powers. And again, not to be confused with role-playing. This is just a special little ability or maybe a special action you get to take that's only something that you get to do.
Right.
I don't know if you mentioned very many games, but Race for the Galaxy or Roll for the Galaxy has those. Pandemic, for example. You can do that.
Rolls,
Seven Wonders. You have some variable powers and stuff off the Wonders. And
Yep.
Citadels.
Yep.
Let's see. What else did I put? Small World has some special things based off of the races that you choose.
Yep.
So you get special abilities with those. So if you like trying those out, those are pretty fun.
Yeah, and this is why I've been thinking of it since I talked about it a minute ago. It popped into my head. You can take that to an extreme, like War of the Ring, where your powers are completely different than the other players. Right? It's just the whole game is I have all these things over here, and you have all these things over here, and they're completely different, but somehow that we have to interact with each other, and that's what I really like about it is that everyone's not doing the same exact thing.
Well, in asymmetrical games,
that's what it means.
Is using those to the extreme.
Right.
So.
Yep. All right. 8. My number 8 is pick up and deliver. So this is this mechanism is where you are usually taking goods from one place to another, or delivering things, or traveling from one point to another to trade or things like that. Games like Merchants and Marauders, Zaya has that. Just any game where you're delivering from one place to the other. Steam's another good example. A lot of train games use that mechanism where you're delivering from one city to the other.
Yeah.
There you go.
That is really fun, and I've been surprised at the variety of pick up and deliver, because that sounds like a theme that you would get bored with, but there's a lot of very different games that include that are pretty interesting.
Yeah, I seem to like the games that have that in them, but that's not the entire game.
Yeah.
That's why it's not higher up on my list. I don't know if I would like a game that's all you did was pick up and deliver. You're not building out something or exploring, or you have other options to do things. But I like it to be a piece of the game, not necessarily the whole game.
And that's why like Zaya and Merchants and Marauders are so good, because you have that open game where you can choose to do that if you want to, and you can profit off of it, but it's not necessary. So pretty fun.
Yep.
My number 7 is cooperative, and that mechanism has been very popular recently, and they're using that for everything. And that's where you have to work together to win the game.
Right.
Or there's also, of course, semi-cooperative, where most everyone is working together, and there may be a traitor. So there's those mechanisms, and those are surprisingly fun and varied as well. Especially recently, Pandemic, The Cure. Those are cooperative games. You're working together to fight the viruses and defeat that, because you're fighting the game. Battlestar Galactica is one of our favorites as co-op, and it's more of a semi-co-op because there can be a traitor in your midst.
Right.
And the kids game, Outfoxed. In fact, you can see our review of that. The kids love that game, and it really requires some thought, and they have to work together to win the game. So it's pretty fun. I enjoy those.
Well, spoiler, it's not on my list. And the reason I didn't put it on my list, I enjoy cooperative games, but I tend to like the semi-co-ops a lot more, and I consider those more the bluffing trader games than the cooperative game. Well, I guess because I enjoy the trader part more than anything else. But I do love the co-op games, but it just didn't make my list. All right, so 8, 9, 7, 5, 7. My number 7 is drafting. So it could be card drafting, it could be dice drafting, all kinds of drafting. That the basis of this mechanism is that you have a group of something, you're picking one of them, and then you pass it on to someone else. It could be that there's a pool out in the middle of the board, and you're drafting things out of that pool. Basically, you're starting with nothing usually, and you're building up to your full deck. It's a way of game balance, because you get to pick and choose which ones you want to take. And obviously, you're probably going to take the best ones for you, so that it's not just a random 7 cards. You're actually picking the 7 cards that you get. So it's a great way to balance the game. Yeah.
Well, spoiler, that's my number 6 really is card drafting. I put that, I say card drafting because it's tiles and different things now. But Castles of Mad King Ludwig or Machikoro, Star Realms, Firefly even have those where you're pulling those, and it's just, I don't know what it is about that. You have a chance to get some really great stuff, and I don't know. There's a little bit of risk.
Yeah, I was about to say that's what I like about it is you look at your set of cards in your hand and you're like, oh, I want 3 of these.
Yeah.
Which one do I think can get back to me after it goes around the table? Okay, so I don't think anyone will want this one, but I want this one too. So I'll keep that one in the hand. I'll take this one I know everyone wants and pass it and hope it gets back around. You pull up the cards like it's still there. You know, it's kind of almost a pressure luck kind of balancing thing. So it's a really just a great. I think what I like about it really balances the game out. Like I said, you just don't get a random hand of cards. You get to kind of pick and choose and balance out what you get.
Yeah, and a lot of times the strategy of the game focuses around that mechanism, which I really enjoy because it can change the game up pretty drastically.
And one of the most popular games recently that has it is, you wouldn't think it has it, but Blood Rage uses drafting. That's how you draft your cards. For you begin in each age, you draft your hand of cards. So
yeah, that one too. Oh my goodness, it seems like all the cards are so powerful in that game, and you're I don't want to give those
really
to
agonize
him.
over which ones you take.
Yeah.
It's a great mechanism.
So
all right, so it's back to me, to number 6.
Number 6 already.
My number 6 is trading. I really enjoy trading. I don't know why, because I guess you have that negotiation thing going on. I like trading games. Like Pit is one of my favorite games. I like any game, even the old Catan game. I like. That's one thing I liked about Catan was the negotiating. I'll give you two sheep for your 1 ore, and you got to balance it back and forth. I just like the trading mechanism. It just what I like is it usually gets everyone involved at the same time, and I like things that gets everyone involved, not just I'll take my turn, you take your turn. I want interaction, and that really promotes interaction all around the table.
Yes. My only negative to that is if people just decide that they don't want to trade with you, then you've stalled out. Yeah. So there's the risk of that. But again, it's who you're playing with and how the game's going, and the risk of that is part of the fun, I'm thinking too, right?
Yeah, I mean that's part of negotiation, right? You don't trade with me, then I'm not going to trade with you. So you're running a risk of isolating yourself, right? So So I like it. I like the negotiation part.
That is pretty fun.
Why is a negotiation a mechanism? I think it's a game type. See, we're back to that thing. Negotiations, really a mechanism, but they call it a game category.
Yeah, that's true. So, that is kind of interesting that it's not in there, now you say that.
Yeah. So.
I think that's more of a recent thing, too, where a lot of those games have come out with that, so it may be something that pops up later.
Yes and no. Negotiations have been around forever. I mean, like Cosmic Encounters, 40 years old, and it had negotiation, right? Yeah. So...
There you go. That's true. All right. My number 5 is set collection. And this is where you're trying to get a certain type of cards or certain colors, or you're collecting a set, be it from drafting or different things throughout the game. And I really enjoy that. Some of the games that I really enjoy that include that would be like Ticket to Ride. You're collecting sets for your color for your train tracks as you're building across the country. Lords of Waterdeep, you're trying to accomplish your... what do you call those? The missions or...
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't even think of that. But yeah, it is kind of set in collection, because you got to get 6 of these and 4 of those and 2 of these. Yeah. Yep. Interesting.
And Alhambra, you're collecting certain types of rooms for your house and everything. Yep. Trying to think what else. Oh, Castles of Burgundy. Pandemic, really a set collection too, if you think about it, because you're trying to collect sets of the dice and stuff.
Yeah, it's really prevalent.
To kill. Yeah, I was surprised when I was looking at this online just how many of the games I really like include that in them. Yeah. And some of them are very subtle. You don't even think about it. Like Lords of Waterdeep, I really didn't think about that at first. But yeah, you're collecting. A lot of the games surround you trying to accomplish those things, and you have to collect the sets for it. So.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I didn't make my list, but now you think about it, it's everywhere. I guess it's so prevalent, I don't even think of that's what the game's about, right?
Yeah. Well, some of it is really subtle. Like, it's not the main thing for the game. Yep. Like Lords of Waterdeep, you can be doing all sorts of stuff. But you get a lot of victory points if you're accomplishing the missions. So.
Yep. That's a good one. Yep. All right, so my number 5?
Yep.
My number 5 is auction/bidding. I don't know if I combine 2 together, but yeah, auctioning and bidding. I love auction mechanics because it's another one of those things where you get all the people involved. I really, really like when the whole table is active at the same time, and that's one way to do it is you're auctioning or bidding on items on the table. And one that really hit that home recently is we started playing Stockpile, and it has a really good auction mechanism where I bid on a spot, and if you outbid me, I get my worker back or whatever, my bidding thing back, and I get to bid. I can either outbid you or I can go to somewhere else, and you keep bumping each other until everyone gets bids on a separate stack. So I auctioning. There's a couple of auctioning mechanisms I don't like. I don't like the one where you bid and then if you lose your money. I don't really like that. I think it's punitive. You do like the hidden bidding and you reveal your bid, and if you have the lower bid, you lose all your money. I don't
What
like
was that? Viceroy, was it that does
Viceroy kind of does that. There's a few other games that do that. I think, what's the, I can't think of the name. Anyway, the one we don't, that epic long game that we played like 2 in the morning, the name flew out of my head.
Oh, Game of Thrones?
Game of Thrones has that where you lose your bid. So yeah, there's I don't like Revolution's that way too. If you play the base game, if you get outbid on a spot on a area, you lose your bid, and there's a variant that you don't lose your bid, and that's how we play.
Yeah, we play that one that way.
But I love auctioning, mainly because, like I said, it gets everyone involved at the same time.
I'm really surprised at how many games I actually like that include that, because I didn't think I'd be that crazy about that one. But like Power Grid is one of those that I really like too, and that stockpile has been really fun. I'm surprised. Like you said, the bidding in that is pretty engaging. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty cool. All right, my number 4 is deck/pool building. It's kind of all the same sort of thing anymore.
It's become a humongous category right now. Yeah, there's a lot of different ways.
So basically, like Dominion's a great example of this. You've got, say, 10 different cards in front of you of different types of things and abilities, and you can go through and take those and start collecting build your deck and stuff from that pool and build them up, or... let's see, what would be good? Paperback actually is a really good one for an example of that. And that's a great little game. Yep. Really fun. Dominion, Dice Masters and Couriers is another one where you're building.
Yeah, that one kind of bleeds over with draft. It's building / drafting, because you're drafting to build your deck. It's
yeah.
Well, to jump on board. My number 4. We're on 4.
Number 4
is deck building. So
okay, look at that.
And my main reason for that is, like she said, the Couriers and Dice Masters, where you have a pool out here and you're building your bag of dice from that pool. So it's drafting and pool building. It's kind of a combo of both. So. And
it's just, I don't know, it's really fun because you get to pick what you're doing with it. Do I want to go more aggressive this time, or do I want to? And it changes. I think the game is so much more variable that way. Even with Star Realms, do I decide to stick with one race when I'm trying to recruit cards if I can, And I think Roll for the Galaxy does that really good too.
Yeah. I'm surprised you haven't mentioned your baby Dominion.
I did mention Dominion. That was the first one.
Yeah, the Dominion's. But I like Thunderstone better.
Oh yeah, we haven't.
I love Thunderstone. That's a pure deck builder. So like Dominion's a pure deck builder as well. So you're seeing it more and more often, and what's happening now is you're seeing that mechanism be a part of the game, not the whole game. You're seeing that starting to pop up here and there, that it's not the whole game isn't the deck building. It's a piece of the game is deck building. There's like a recent one, I guess, Millennium Blades is all the hotness right now, and that kind of uses that you're drafting, buying and drafting cards, and you're building up a deck of cards, but then you take that deck and you compete with it. So it's like that's part of the game.
See, that sounds awesome. Yeah. I love it. I like it being the whole game. I don't mind that. I think it's really clever when they were able to integrate that into other games doing other things, because I think that would be really fun. Adds a little more complexity. So obviously we both like that quite a bit.
Yep.
So I guess I'll skip ahead to my number 3. My 3, 2, and 1 are increasingly growing tighter together. I suspect that maybe over time some of these may flop around a little. Number 3 has a weird name. It's called Action Point Allowance System. How is that for a mouthful?
Wow.
So what this is you've got a turn, and you're allowed to do a certain number of things or a certain type of thing during your turn.
Right.
So it's going to say you get to do 4 things during your turn.
Right.
And you have a list of things that you can choose from, but you only get to do these 4 things or whatever.
Right.
And I don't know what it is. I looked at the list, and it is amazing. Overwhelmingly, like, some of my absolute favorite games have this in them. A lot of the heavier games I've noticed have this in them too. So we're talking like Zaya, Fleet Captains, Merchants and Marauders, Blood Rage has this. Through the Ages has this. And even like Blood Rage, the action point allowance system is based off of your rage. You don't think about that so much, but the more rage you've got, the more abilities, the more turns basically you get to take, the more things you get to do, or the more expensive people you recruit and all that kind of thing. So I have found that I really, really, really enjoyed that because you get all these choices. They're usually open-ended games.
Yeah.
More.
Well, this one didn't make my list, and I guess the reason it didn't make my list is that mechanism is so prevalent. It's just everywhere. It's just so many. I'm like almost every Euro game. It's just so prevalent that
really
it kind of just became. It's like blended into the background. It's like it's just there. And I think more when a game has that, I think more about the theme or what actions you're taking and things like that. I don't even think I can take 3 actions, and that's such a common mechanism. I didn't put.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about that. I just like having it's like a little tableau set here.
Well,
it's like, you have a set of choices. Here you go.
It makes the game organized, and you know what to expect. There's not a lot of randomness to the game. I know each turn I'm going to do 3 things. I'm going to do 3 things every turn. So yeah,
it sets a rhythm for the game, and that's what I like about it. I don't like to have to guess or make a game. This keeps the clunk out of the game.
Yeah.
Because if you have a clunky game, 9 times out of 10, they don't even have some kind of point allowance system. They don't have anything set up to say, okay, or in the rule books, they didn't tell you, you have this, and this you can do.
Right.
If they don't set that up, then you're just, it increases the chaos, I guess I'd say. And I like orderly.
And a lot of the simpler game is you get to do one thing.
Yeah,
right? You get one action.
At the basic, yes. Yeah, I don't really think of those as having a point allowance system because one point, really.
Yeah.
That's like just turn-based or something. I don't know.
All right. So in the way that you said your 3 are kind of coming together, my top 3 are by far ahead of everything else. These are by far my favorite 3, hands down. And we'll start with my number 3, which is acting and role-playing, which I love taking on a role or pretending to be someone or being a traitor or just... I love hamming it up. When I play sheriff, I have a blast. It's so much fun to play games like that where you take on a role and you can games like that you can just play or you can just get into it and really like ham it up and act and have fun, and like Spyfall we play the roles and it's just hilarious and everyone's laughing, and it just I think it makes a game when you get into it, and when you have a vehicle like that mechanism where you can take on a role or you pretend to be something that you're not or whatever, that just takes the game to the next level to me.
Yep.
So that's number 3. Acting / role playing.
Yes. We definitely have a group that likes to ham it up, so that works well. All right. My number 2 is tile placement. So I'm trying to think of how some of these seem so similar. It's really hard for me to like describe them in such a separate way. But tile placement, you're laying them out in a certain set, usually in front of you. Sometimes it's the main game itself, but you're going to lay them out, and they're in such a way that, maybe they have a wall. You have to connect the walls to make them all stay together, or they have to have doors that connect rooms or things like that to get bonuses and stuff like that, or to make sense, like Carcassonne. You have to make the borders line up for your cities and things like that. And so some of the games that I really like, gosh, there's so many games that I just love this in. Galaxy Trucker is a really good one. Carcassonne, I said. Suburbia, Caverna, Castles of Burgundy, Among the Stars, Mad King Ludwig. Yeah, the Castles of Mad King Ludwig and Alhambra. Those are all just... I really love those games. I can play those games over and over because... you can place them multiple ways. There's no one right way. Usually you have multiple options available. So you can play this game over and play a completely different game.
Yep.
And I really enjoy being able to do that with a game.
Yeah, that's a real good one. I think I don't necessarily find the mechanism what I enjoy. I kind of like the end result. When you're done, you look at the table and go, oh, look at all these cool things I built. I like that part of it. It didn't make my list, but that's a real good one.
Mm-hmm. Yep. What's your number 2?
My number 2... Be right back.
Be right back? A mystery. Oh, I should have known.
My number 2 is... dice rolling! If a game has dice, and it's not a roll-to-move game, it's got me in. I love dice. Dice rolling is so much fun. It's just that you're going to roll and you don't know what's going to happen. I love dice. Dice rolling is amazing. I like it for combat. I like it for deciding what actions you can take. I like dice.
You like dice way more than I do because dice usually hate me.
I love dice rolling. I don't know what it is. I mean, it just goes back to even the roll the move games from my childhood. It's just so much fun. It's like, I need a 7. Boom! You get the roll you want. It's just that tension, that randomness, that just laughed out loud craziness of dice. I just love dice.
Well, what's great is anymore, oh my gosh, it's not just a normal little boring 6-sided black and white dice. They have tricked it up. You can get any shape, color, size, different icons, and I don't know. It's pretty cool. Yeah, so I mean, some of my favorite games, like she said, War of the Ring has these beautiful little dice that you roll, and based on what you roll, that's the actions you get to take. Champions of Midgard, your little warrior guys are dice, and each warrior has a different custom dice with different, each facing a little bit different, and they're each a little more powerful than the other. Just like she said, there's so many different, like Formula D, you have all those different dice you use for your gears. It's just, I don't know. I don't know what it is about the dice. Even the kids' game, like Outfoxed, you're rolling a dice, but it's a special dice to decide whether or not you're going to go search for clues or you're going to try to reveal some potential suspects. And it's just a regular 6-sided dice, but they put different emblems and things on it. So it's just, there's so much variety to that. It's not just simple dice anymore.
Yep. Yeah, I love the dice.
That's
my number 2.
Good one. All right, my number 1, and I suspect it may be your
Let's say it at the same time. Ready?
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Worker placement.
Yep. Okay, obviously, if you haven't seen any of this stuff before, you have little meeples, usually or cubes or something. Usually nowadays they have cute little people.
Right.
You have something on the board with different options, different things that they could be doing or collecting or what have you. And you have, say, 4 of these cute little guys, and you get to put them somewhere, and you get to take that action or collect that thing, do that thing. And that is worker placement. Yep. And goodness, they do that in so many games. Some games that is the game, and nowadays they've tricked it up where some of it is just that's just one mechanism in a variety of things. And gosh, viticulture, that's like one of our absolute favorite games. Right. Automania, Stone Age, Lords of Waterdeep, Marco Polo, Kingsburg, and that one you're using dice. It's like your perfect storm of happiness.
That's what
you're rolling dice and you're placing them.
You stole my thunder. Like that's the perfect marriage, right? Worker placement and dice rolling coming together. So you got so many of the games that are doing that. Like Kingsburg, Artifacts, Inc., Marco Polo, Alien Frontiers.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Alien.
A lot of those use that. But what I like about worker placement is it's kind of like your action things. You have so many actions, you know where you want to go, but you have to plan those out because you have to look at, okay, what are my opponents going to do, and where do I need to go first? And you're thinking, okay, I need to go to that spot, and then someone takes you, like, oh, it's so much, the tension of blocking each other and organizing your turns. It's just a great mechanism that it adds. I personally think it adds flavor to the game. It adds tension to the game. It adds interaction.
Well, and variety too. Yeah. Because you can replay that game and play it completely differently based off of that. So.
Yep. Love the worker placement.
Yes. So, well, that was easy. I guess I called that one pretty well. But yeah, hopefully through the list of games and different things to give you some ideas of things to check out. Some that made my short list.
I got a short list too.
Yep, I had dice rolling, of course, not as high up because they don't tend to favor me as well. But I love a lot of games that really do that. And pattern building, that kind of overlapped some of the other things that I was talking about. And that's a lot of times with tile placement and things like that, you're also building patterns. So I didn't include that one. And then area control is another one that was on my short list. That's usually where you're trying to take over certain regions or areas. Think old school Risk,
right?
For area control.
Well, I mean, but some games use it subtly, right?
That's true.
Anyway, they like Artifacts Inc. has area control. You don't think about it, but you have a museum and you're doing area control. That's another one that I like it to be part of the game. I necessarily want it to be the entire game because Alien Frontiers has area control.
Love that game, but it's only part of it.
You hit most of mine. The only one that you didn't mention is stockholding, but I don't like stockholding to be the entire game. I want it to be a piece of the game. Like Airlines Europe is a really great game, and stockholding's part of that game. But it's not. But I don't want the entire game to be stock. based. I like it to be like a side, a thing, another thing you work on, or you're doing all these things and it affects what your stocks and things like that. It's not the whole game. Although Stockpile is a pretty good game.
Yeah,
that's
pretty
much all.
There are
stock
exceptions.
holding.
Yeah.
So that's it. So there's some great mechanisms. And tell us what your favorite is. Leave them in the comments. And if you like our videos, please subscribe to our channel. We're doing regular content. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.